which I trust. God is the strength in which I trust. Remember that peace is your right, because you're giving your trust to the strength of God. God is the strength in which I trust. God is the strength in which I trust. God is the strength in which I trust. Well, thank you all so much for joining me today and studying A Course in Miracles. And we're ready for lesson 47 in A Course in Miracles. We're reading from the Foundation for Inner Peace version, and I'm Forgiveness Willie, teaching forgiveness from the Ozarks. God is the strength in which I trust. If you're trusting in your own strength, you have every reason to be apprehensive, anxious, and fearful. What can you predict or control? What is there in you that can be counted on? What would give you the ability to be aware of all the facets of any problem and to resolve them in such a way that only good can come of it? What is there in you that gives you the recognition of the right solution and the guarantee that it will be accomplished? Of yourself, you can do none of these things. To believe that you can is to put your trust where trust is unwarranted, and to justify fear, anxiety, depression, anger, and sorrow. Who can put his faith in weakness and feel strength? Who can put his faith in weakness and feel safe? Who can put his faith in strength and feel weak? God is your safety in every circumstance. His voice speaks for him in all situations and in every aspect of all situations, telling you exactly what to do to call upon his strength and his protection. There are no exceptions because God has no exceptions, and the voice which speaks for him thinks as he does. Today we will try to reach past your own weakness to the source of real strength. 4 5-minute practice periods are necessary today, and longer and more frequent ones are urged. Close your eyes and begin, as usual, by repeating the idea for the day. Then spend a minute or two in searching for situations in your life which you have invested with fear, dismissing each one by telling yourself, God is the strength in which I trust. God is the strength in which I trust. Begin by closing your eyes, and then look for things that are causing you fear and name them. And then after you've named them, say, but God is the strength in which I trust. Now try to slip past all concerns related to your own sense of inadequacy. It is obvious that any situation that causes you concern is associated with feelings of inadequacy, for otherwise you would believe that you could deal with the situation successfully. It is not by trusting yourself that you will gain confidence, but the strength of God in you is successful in all things. The recognition of your own frailty is a necessary step in the correction of your errors. Catch that. Let me read it again. The recognition of your own weakness, your own frailty, is a necessary step in the correction of your errors. But it is hardly a sufficient one in giving you the confidence which you need and to which you are entitled. You must also gain an awareness that confidence in your real strength is fully justified in every respect and in all circumstances. In the latter phases of the practice period, try to reach down into your mind to a place of real safety. So then here at the end of your practice period, reach down into your mind a place of real safety. You will recognize that you have reached this place of real safety when you feel a sense of deep peace, however briefly. Let go all the trivial things that churn and bubble on the surface of your mind and reach down and below them to the kingdom of heaven. There is a place in you where there is perfect peace. We call that place heaven. There is a place in you where nothing is impossible. There is a place in you where the strength of God abides. During the day, repeat the idea often. Use it as your answer to any disturbance. Remember that peace is your right, because you're giving your trust to the strength of God. Okay, can we do that today? At the end, we'll try to take 5 minutes and try to do that, a 5-minute practice period, one of your 4. Okay, let's go take a look at our text reading. We're ready for the next chapter, 6, The Lessons of Love. This should be fun. Introduction. The relationship of anger to attack is obvious, but the relationship of anger to fear is not always so apparent. Anger always involves projection of separation, which must ultimately be accepted as one's own responsibility rather than being blamed on others. Anger cannot occur unless you believe that you have been attacked, that attack is justified in return, and that you are in no way responsible for your attack. Given these 3 wholly irrational premises, the equally irrational conclusion that a brother is worthy of attack rather than love must follow. What can be expected from insane premises, except an insane conclusion? The way to undo an insane conclusion is to consider the sanity of the premises on which it rests. You cannot be attacked. Attack has no justification, and you are responsible for what you believe. Paragraph 2. You have been asked to take me as your model for learning. WWJD. You have been asked to take me for your model for learning, since an extreme example is a particularly helpful learning device. Everyone teaches and teaches all the time. This is a responsibility you inevitably assume the moment you accept any premise at all. And no one can organize his life without some thought system, without some premise. Once you have developed a thought system of any kind, you live by it and teach it. Your capacity for allegiance to a thought system may be misplaced, but it is still a form of faith and can be redirected. And now we're ready for the message of the crucifixion, section 1, which we're going to read about the first 7 paragraphs there. Let's take just a pause for a minute. Let me tell you, for you multiple year students, read chapter 6 in original edition, read the introduction, and section 1 up to paragraph 10. Attack and Fear is what it's called. That's the chapter 6 in the original edition is called Attack and Fear, and section 1 is the message of the crucifixion, which is, we're getting ready to read the message of the crucifixion in the Foundation for Inner Peace version. In the Bible, read Luke chapter 3. In Iyengar Yoga, stay with page 64 and 65, the intense chest stretch. Work on that. And out of A Course of Love, chapter 11, verse 7 through the end of the chapter, which is 18, free will and willingness. Okay, now let's go ahead and read the message of the crucifixion. We'll just read about halfway through this section today. For learning purposes, let us consider the crucifixion again. I did not dwell on it before because of the fearful connotations you may associate with it. The only emphasis laid upon it so far has been that it was not a form of punishment. Nothing, however, can be explained in negative terms only. There is a positive interpretation of the crucifixion that is wholly devoid of fear, and therefore wholly benign in what it teaches, if it is properly understood. 2. The crucifixion is nothing more than an extreme example. Its value, like the value of any teaching device, lies solely in the kind of learning it facilitates. It can and has been misunderstood. This is only because the fearful are apt to perceive fearfully. I've already told you that you can always call on me to share my decision and thus make it stronger. I've also told you that the crucifixion was the last useless journey the sonship need take, and that it represents release from fear to anyone who understands it. While I emphasized only the resurrection before, the purpose of the crucifixion and how it actually led to the resurrection was not clarified then. Nevertheless, it has a definite contribution to make to your own life, and if you will consider it without fear, it will help you understand your own role as a teacher. Paragraph 3. You have probably reacted for years as if you were being crucified. This is a marked tendency of the separated, who always refuse to consider what they have done to themselves. In other words, wanting to blame instead of realizing that, okay, if this is coming to me, I'm the creator of everything that happens in my world. Or should I say the maker of everything that happens. Ideally, you're the creator. Projection means anger. So let me read sentence 1 again, paragraph 3. You've probably reacted for years as if you were being crucified. This is a marked tendency of the separated, who always refuse to consider what they have done to themselves. Projection means anger. Anger fosters assault, and assault promotes fear. The real meaning of the crucifixion lies in the apparent intensity of the assault of some of the sons of God upon another. The real meaning of the crucifixion lies in the apparent intensity of the assault of some of the sons of God upon another, on Yeshua. This, of course, is impossible and must be fully understood as impossible. Otherwise, I cannot serve as a model for learning. Okay, what was impossible? That one son of God could assault another son of God. Everything that happens is our own choice, and we beckon it and bring it, regardless of how much we do it in our unconscious way. Anyway, he's trying to say that there is no factors working outside of you to bring something to you. There's no other who's assaulting you, is what he's trying to get us to see. The real meaning of the crucifixion lies in the apparent intensity of the assault of some of the sons of God upon another son of God, Yeshua. This, of course, is impossible and must be fully understood as impossible. Otherwise, I cannot serve as a model for learning. Okay, so he was taking upon himself something that he chose to have, and that no one was acting on him, against him, over him, outside of the Holy Spirit's divine will, outside of him. In other words, Jesus wasn't a victim, just like you're not a victim. That's what he's trying to get us to see. Paragraph 4. Assault can ultimately be made only on the body. Okay, there's a nice thought to make. Assault can ultimately be made only on the body. There is little doubt that one body can assault another and can even destroy it. Yet, if destruction itself is impossible, now that's what he came to teach in the resurrection, that destruction itself is impossible. Yet, if destruction itself is impossible, anything that is destructible cannot be real. Its destruction, therefore, does not justify anger. To the extent to which you believe that it does, you are accepting false premises and teaching them to others. The message the crucifixion was intended to teach was that it is not necessary to perceive any form of assault in persecution, because you cannot be persecuted. Wow. Isn't that it should be encouraging to us. If you respond with anger to persecution, being razzed or belittled or whatever form you consider your persecution that you think is being done to you from another, if you respond with anger, you must be equating yourself with the destructible and therefore regarding yourself insanely. 5. I have made it perfectly clear that I am like you and you are like me, but our fundamental equality can be demonstrated only through joint decision. You are free to perceive yourself as persecuted if you choose. When you do choose to react that way, however, you might remember that I was persecuted as the world judges and did not share this evaluation for myself. And because I did not share it, I did not strengthen it. I therefore offered a different interpretation of attack, and one which I want to share with you. If you will believe it, you will help me teach it. And here it is, paragraph 6. As I have said before, as you teach, so shall you learn. If you react as if you are persecuted, you're teaching persecution. This is not a lesson a son of God should want to teach if he is to realize his own salvation. Rather, teach your own perfect immunity, which is the truth in you, and realize that it cannot be assailed. Do not try to protect it yourself, or you are believing that it is assailable. You are not asked to be crucified, which was part of my own teaching contribution. You are merely asked to follow my example in the face of much less extreme temptations to misperceive and not to accept them as false justifications for anger. There can be no justification for the unjustifiable. Do not believe there is, and do not teach that there is. Remember always that what you believe you will teach. Believe with me, and we will become equal as teachers. Let's read that paragraph 6 again. As I have said before, as you teach, so shall you learn. If you react as if you are persecuted, you are teaching persecution. Let's change that word to persecution just for a moment. If you act as if you're being treated unfairly, that you're not one with the actor who's, in quotes, attacking you. In other words, you're not seeing yourself as whole. You're seeing yourself as separate from your brother who's doing something to you that you're calling persecution or attack or something, okay? So with that in mind, as I have said before, as you teach, so shall you learn. If you react as if you are persecuted, you are teaching persecution. This is not a lesson a son of God should want to teach if he is to realize his own salvation. Rather, teach your own perfect immunity, which is the truth in you, and realize that your perfect immunity, it cannot be assailed. Do not try to protect it yourself, or you are believing that it is assailable. You are not asked to be crucified, which was my part of my own teaching contribution. You're merely asked to follow my example in the face of much less extreme temptations to misperceive, and not to accept them as false justification for anger. False justifications for anger. There can be no justification for the unjustifiable. Do not believe there is, and do not teach that there is. Remember always that what you believe you will teach. Believe with me, and we will become equal as teachers. And the last paragraph we'll read for today, 7. Your resurrection is your reawakening. I am the model for rebirth, but rebirth itself is merely the dawning on your mind of what is already in it. God placed it there himself, and so it is true forever. I believed in it and therefore accepted it as true for me. Help me to teach it to our brothers in the name of the kingdom of God. But first believe that it is true for you, or you will teach amiss. My brothers slept during the so-called agony in the garden, but I could not be angry with them because I knew I could not be abandoned. And that was something that was recorded in Matthew chapter 26, verse 36 through 37, the agony in the garden. Okay, let's take a look. God is the strength in which I trust. Remember that throughout the day. Often tell yourself, do 4 or 5 minute practice periods. What's going on around the world? It's Shrove Monday, the Monday before Ash Wednesday. In the Eastern Orthodox, it's Cheese Fair Monday. In Eastern Slavic folk religion, it's the start of Lent and called Maslenitsa, or it's leading up to Lent. I don't know if it starts today or not. Anyway, it's called Maslenitsa. And then in Hinduism, it's still Mahashivaratri. Probably all night last night, still goes on today, I expect. And then out of holidays and observances, I also found it's Gazy Gatson Bates Day. She was a civil rights activist who did much to rid racism out of Arkansas. Also another a civil rights activist, she's a Tlingit, and her name was Elizabeth Petrovich, and it's her day, Elizabeth Petrovich Day. Like I said, she was a Tlingit, and their word for peace in Tlingit is KL. KL be with you. KL. Do a grouch a favor day, because they're one with you and they're part of you. So ease their burden even if they don't realize they're one with you yet. In Canada, it's both Family Day and Islander Day. It's also Innovation Day. It's the Kyoto Protocol Day, which was the International Treaty on Environmental Protection. I wonder if that's still being kept. Some of the things that are and I'm hearing in the news, maybe we're not keeping our the treaty that was made, which we're gonna have to rethink about these treaties, because I never was asked about the treaty, even though I probably would have been agreeable on this one. I'm a major environmentalist. President's Day, Washington's birthday, Tim Tam Day, which is an Australian chocolate biscuit, and then out of edible landscaping, let's talk about some cherries on page 19 of their catalog. And the reason I'm talking about these cherries is because on the second year of your food forest, first year you plant those semi-dwarf apple, pear, and plum. And then on the third year, you plant a dwarf cherry. And these are some bush cherries. And the first one I'm going to read, a bush cherry and a hazel bush. And then the third year, you'd plant a currant and currant and gooseberry, which I expect you could plant other things too that are about the same size, like maybe blackberries or blueberries or something. But anyway, the Cherrapunji Nanking Red Bush Cherry, Cherrapunji Nanking Red Bush Cherry is Northern European variety with large red fruits, big enough to be pitted with hand pitters, easier to process. Pollinate with another Nanking cherry, spaced 6 to 8 foot apart, zones 3 through 7, and it's a Prunus tomentosa. Okay, and can we go ahead and close with our song? And I tell you, I try to get these, The rhythm's supposed to be remaining the same. There shouldn't be any fermatas in this song, but I expect if someone's writing the music, they probably would, because I have a hard time keeping this one counted. I'd do better playing with somebody with a drum, but we're going to try to do it good. Okay, so let's try to get you started on your 5-minute practice period. God is the strength in which I trust. 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 Remember that peace is your right, because you're giving your trust to the strength of God. God is the strength in which I trust. God is the strength in which I trust. Remember that peace is your right, because you're giving your trust strength of God. God is the strength in which I trust. And our word for peace today from the Rapa Nui people of Chile is Kiba Kiba, Kiba Kiba. God is the strength in which I trust. Kiba Kiba.